Hello, and welcome to FPL Mate, your best mate for fantasy Premier League content for the 2020-21 season. My name is Dan, and today we're going to talk about something, something I think most of us are probably going to be unhappy about. I'm going to try and... Obviously, I have my opinions on everything that's going on with the European Football, or European Super League. I'm going to give my opinions in this video. I am open to other opinions, of course. I'm going to try and remain at least a little bit impartial, but at the same time, I think we've all got strong feelings about this, and we're all very, very concerned with what's going to happen next. Hello, everyone, by the way. What members have we got in here? Offcore, yo, what's up? Johnny Rock, Dan Bowen, Olivier, Timothy is here as well. So, what's up, guys? Dan Cross here as well. What's up, man? It's a weird one. It's a weird one, and it does seem to be solely about money. I think we will all probably agree with it, that this whole thing is going to be all about money. The reason the European Super League is coming out is because some teams in the Premier League, across multiple leagues, have become a little bit too big for their boots and think, well, we can just do whatever we want. And it's not the fans. I don't think it's even the coaching staff and the management from what I've seen. I don't think it's the players either. I would imagine most players, most coaches, they're not really worried about, a slight pay rise when this is going to be something that affects football to the deepest and darkest roots, isn't it? And that's kind of the problem. These 6 teams in the Premier League, and that's probably primarily what we're going to be talking about today, have... just made this decision, and it's the owners of the clubs, the owners who don't really understand what the football in the same way as we do, and I want to try and approach this in a relatively sensitive way, just because I know that although being someone who is from England, someone who is from the UK, someone who is, I wouldn't call myself a younger fan, this is... I've been following football for 25, well, probably not 25 years, but near enough 25 years. This is all that I know. I don't want to get left behind. I do appreciate that football does have to change. It does have to adapt. But if it's at the expense of football as a whole, then that's not a good thing. That's not a good thing. And perhaps if you're a little bit younger, from what I know of, younger people in general do support the changes a little bit more than perhaps slightly older fans. So maybe, as a younger football fan, you do just want to see the big teams play all the time. You're not interested in the smaller teams. For me, I love the drama of it all. I love the fact that a Leicester City can come up and do the business and win the Premier League. I love that, some strange, weird and wonderful teams can occasionally sneak into the Champions League. I love the drama of the relegation scraps and this, that and the other. Maybe if you're younger, I don't know, maybe it's slightly different to you. Maybe if you're a foreign fan, and obviously you're never going to be able to go to the stadiums anyway, then you're not going to be so worried. Okay, well, I'm just going to be watching the football on TV anyway. I'm not really too worried if the games are played all around the world. Maybe even some of the games come to my country, and that would be good for me, right? So, I am aware of the fact that as an English fan, and this is all I've known, I am going to be a little bit biased towards this, and I do think that is worth pointing out. It's a strange one. But, right, what's the situation? So, 6 English teams, along with 3, the big 6 English teams, along with 3 top Spanish teams, Real Madrid, Barcelona, and Atletico Madrid, and 3 Italian teams, the Milan size and Juventus, breaking away from, they're not even trying to break away. They want to create their own Super League to replace the Champions League. When I look at this, the way this team is set up, so it's 12 founding members. It's actually going to be 15 founding members by the end of it. I think there's talks about Schalke, who are about to get relegated from the Bundesliga. They're also going to be joining as part of the 15 teams. And these 15 teams are stuck in the league. They play every year, no matter what. 5 teams will join them. And the idea is this, that replaces the Champions League and I guess Europa League as well. The problem is, well, I mean, the problem is that this goes against pretty much everything that's been set in stone or football that we know for years and years and years. The idea that teams are locked into a competition, they can't get relegated, they can't get booted out, they just get to stay in. And then that kind of, where's the competition in that? I don't really see where the competition is in that. I think that is the one thing that annoys me most. The fact that the teams are just have this God-given right to be in this league and to not have any chance of them being removed from that team. I mean, I'm an Arsenal fan. Arsenal have nothing to lose from this. They only gain. We will gain so much more money. We'll be able to finally compete with, you know, the spending power of United, Chelsea, Man City. Arsenal would benefit massively. But why does it matter? Who cares if your team benefits from all this if the competition is just lost? What happens to the other team if in the Premier League? I mean, can these big six teams even play in the Premier League? I mean, according to Premier League rules, and let me just switch over to this page. According to the Premier League rules, it can't happen. This goes against the rules of the Premier League. I don't know if you can see all of that on screen. Maybe I need to shrink it down a little bit. That's making it worse rather than better. You know what? Yeah, that's good enough. You get the gist. It's not going to benefit football. What about the other teams? Okay, these big teams can't be in the Premier League anymore. So okay, maybe that means the Premier League is now redundant. So now we have this European competition. There's not much competition in this competition. The drama and the excitement of being able to get promoted, relegated, different winners each year. Most of who's going to win this competition every year? It's going to be Real Madrid. It's going to be Barcelona. Maybe it's occasionally Man City. Your chances of teams like Leicester, even if you're an Arsenal fan or a Spurs fan, you might think, even if you're a Liverpool fan, you might love the idea of one day winning the Premier League. Obviously, some of these teams have done it before. But we wouldn't be in the Premier League anymore. We'd be in this other competition where there isn't not really any competition there. Yes, you get a bit more prize money if you stay in it. I get that I do understand that there is a need of a reform in European football. I really do believe that there is a need for a reform in European football, because I think, for me personally, and maybe other people might disagree with me, the Champions League, the Europa League have got a little bit stale because you spend so much time watching games between teams that are never going to go anywhere. At least in the Premier League, if you've got two lower half teams playing against each other, maybe they're battling for relegation, maybe they're going to make a late push for Europa League places or something like that, and there is something to play for. In the Champions League, you generally have this layout of a Champions League group stage where you've got one supreme team, one good team, and two teams that are just there to make up the numbers. And I don't think that is enjoyable for anyone to watch. But the solution isn't to make a new competition where the big teams are forced to be in. And I do understand that watching a team like Arsenal, watching a team like Manchester United, obviously neither of those teams are in the Champions League right now. The desire to watch those teams is greater than a desire to watch some of the lesser teams in the Champions League. And that's what this is all about. This is about which teams are the most commercially viable. Which teams are the most commercially viable. And I do agree, yes, these teams are more commercially viable. And I have thought in the past, okay, maybe, with the quality in the Premier League, maybe we should be getting more Champions League spots. Maybe, instead of having, random teams, and with all due respect, there are some, random teams in Romania or Malta or Gibraltar and countries like that really aren't going to progress anywhere in the Champions League. They really are there to just make numbers. Why not just throw in an extra Premier League team or two when people actually really do want to watch that? And for that, I do agree with. However, it's the fact that the teams are locked in there. What about Leicester, who have done fantastically? What about, I'm really enjoying the West Ham story this year. I'm really enjoying the West Ham story, how they've just, nobody saw this coming. They were kind of considered a weaker team in the Premier League, and they've just had this fantastic season. They're playing this lovely counter-attacking football. Obviously, Jesse Lingard, we're all about Jesse Lingard over on this channel, absolutely. I love that story, and I do want a reform of the Champions League. I don't like the current idea of the reform. Expanding the the Champions League and including more making up the numbers type teams. I don't think that's a solution. If I was to design some kind of European Super League or whatever, it would be, I think you would have to include promotion and relegation. I think you'd have to include qualification and disqualification, and teams, if they're not performing at that standard, they have to drop out. I would support something like that in a league format. I do much prefer a league format, maybe in the same vein as the Championship, where there's a league format, and then at the end of it, there's some kind of playoff rounds. I do like that aspect of American football, for example, where they have the Super Bowl at the end, and you get to the playoffs and you see how well you do there. I do like that. I do like league formats with playoffs at the end. I really do like that. But it's the fact that teams are ring fenced. Is that the word? Where teams literally cannot drop out of the league no matter what. They have this God-given right. That is so anti-football. That is so anti-everything that's been built with this worldwide sport for forever. Forever. That's how we do things. That's what we like about it. I mean, guys, when I'm playing, like a FIFA 21 career mode or something, I am checking the lower league, the stats on the lower leagues beneath me. So I'm playing with Arsenal or something, I'm checking the leagues below me to see, who's going to get promoted, because the idea of promotion and relegation is exciting to me. It interests me. I like different teams each year. I like seeing, I've not actually seen that much. For example, Sheffield United last season, I thought, they were going to be rubbish, and I was so excited to see how they just come in and play football. Leeds coming up to the Premier League this year. I've had a soft spot for Leeds for a long time. When I was a kid, they were a top team, and I really enjoyed a lot of their players. Harry Kewell, Mark Viduka, etc., etc. And to see them back and to see them playing really well, I love that. The promotion and relegation stuff is everything. I mean, okay, maybe not everything, but the upsets, the unpredictability, that is what keeps football fresh year on year. Leeds coming to the Premier League this year keeps the Premier League fresh this year. Sheffield United, the same thing last year. All the stuff and the fun we had around John Lundstram last year, Patrick Bamford this year, Stuart Dallas this year. All of this stuff is what makes football so fantastic and so exciting. And I'm probably speaking a lot in FPL terms, and this is an FPL channel, so you can probably forgive me for that. But to me, that's the excitement. It's the promotion and relegation, and I'm not opposed to reforms. I'm really not opposed to reforms. I just don't think any team should have a God-given right to be in a league. And what happens to the rest of football? Do they just get left behind? What happens to the Premier League? That's the league I love. That's what I tune into. I watch any game in the Premier League, and I do watch any game in the Premier League. I'll watch Brighton. I'll watch West Brom. I enjoy that. I enjoy watching different teams, seeing how they go on. Are they going to get some points? Are they going to stay in the league? Are they going to make late push for Europa League football? Are they going to make the Champions League? Are they going to do a Leicester? That's exciting to me. There would be no one ever doing a Leicester again. It's crazy. Let's read some of the comments. Let's see what some of you guys are saying, because, like I said it on Twitter, I'm interested to see other opinions as well, because I know I can only look at this situation with my own eyes, and how I've experienced football growing up, and going to games and stuff, and yeah, and the rules and my passion for, I guess, promotion and relegation and seeing new teams and stuff like that. But yeah, let's see what you guys are saying. So of course says, I agree, UEFA need a refresh, but this cloak and dagger skullduggery is not the way. If it was out in the open, it would be a different conversation. And I do agree with that, because this has, I want to say it's come from nowhere. It hasn't completely come from nowhere, because there has been talks of European Super League for a while. I don't think anyone thought it would be in this way. And I think the fact that teams are guaranteed to play in this league, I think that's the thing. What else we got to say? Marco here says, you can't just make everything the American way. That's not how this works. And I agree and disagree with you. Obviously, if you're from Europe, you probably would think, okay, there's only one way of doing things. It would be naive to say that things can't be done in a different way. But I think it is such a culture shift that it wouldn't work. Yasser says, West Ham and Leicester have no flipping history. They barely have trophies. It's the big six in terms of history. Yeah, but I know a lot of people talk about histories of the club, but does a history guarantee you anything? If you want to talk about history, what about Nottingham Forest? They've won more European football, major European titles than they won back-to-back Euro Champions League. Well, what is now called the Champions League, didn't they? You've got teams like Ajax who've smashed it in the Champions League. They've not even been mentioned in these conversations, have they? Daz says, I see the appeal of a top Euro teams playing in a league format. Yeah, absolutely. But they need to earn it, and I think that's the point, isn't it? Why not combine the Champions League? Why not combine the Champions League with the other and do something like that? Yeah, something like that could work. This will destroy football, mate. They only want money. I think that's kind of the point, isn't it? Isn't it, matey, what's his name? One of the Glazers literally said that he only recently learned the offside rule and he still doesn't fully understand it, and yet he's kind of one of the guys in charge of this league. They don't understand football. That's the point. Did they see this reaction? I don't know. They must have. They're not stupid people. They're business people, aren't they? They're looking about money, aren't they? I don't know. Ian Sprice says, I like the format and I think it could be implemented in the Champions League, but the way it has been formed and the way it's been run is abysmal and a disgrace to football and us supporters. It could be, yeah, if they could work something out. The problem is with the Champions League and UEFA is that we can talk about, this is all about money, and it absolutely is all about money, but any rebuttal that UEFA have, that's all about money. We know how corrupt UEFA is and how they're always just looking for money as well. That's the reason why they're trying to expand the Champions League to more games, and that's not a better solution. That's not a good solution either, is it? If it's going to happen, wouldn't you prefer that your team is in it? It's a difficult question. I'd rather it didn't happen, to be honest. Or but I don't, I'm an Arsenal fan, right? If we go into this European Super League, okay, we can't play in the Premier League anymore. Okay, fine. We're just going to get whipped around by Real Madrid, Barcelona, Man City, teams that are better than us. We're going to be whipped around by them year on year. There'll be less football to watch because the Super League does not have as many matches as the Premier League because this is it. This is the Premier League starts, and I don't know if this is a bargaining situation, and maybe things do get resolved somehow. But do I really want to watch Arsenal play 10 games a year? Like that, and most of those games we're going to be battered 3-0 by Barcelona. I don't know. How does that benefit me as a fan? I can't even go see half the games because they're in other countries, and most people can't afford to go see them. And then there's the whole point that even if these teams do get all this money, where do you think the money's going to go? A team's really going to reinvest in their own teams if they've got a guaranteed place. Dan Cross says, the real struggle will be what happens if the Super League goes ahead and the clubs will stay in the Premier League. I want to support the team, but principles. Yeah, it's difficult. If they're in both, that makes it a lot harder. Because, I'm trying to think what to do. I mean, what would be the best way forward here? I think the main sticking point for everyone is the ring fencing and the fact that these teams just stay in this league. I would not be opposed to a, right. So every every team in the every country, obviously every country has their top league. If there was one league that was above all of these top leagues, and that was one European league, and teams could get promoted and relegated from that top European league, so it essentially becomes like one step above the Premier League, if you like. I don't know how that would work, but as long as there was promotion and relegation in that, I think that would work. I think that would be pretty cool, because that's just like taking. It would be another way of doing the Champions League, and it would be a league format, which I think most of us these days do prefer a league format to a knockout competition. Something like that would work quite nicely, maybe. I'm not 100% sure. Super chat here from George Vincent. Thank you very much. CFC fan, this is Americanization of football to soccer. And I think I agree with you. And it's no surprise that a lot of American people are involved in the setup. Like, the Glazers, Stan Kroenke, Arsenal. No, is it? Yeah, Stan Kroenke, maybe Josh Kroenke as well. I don't know how involved he is in this. Obviously, Liverpool's owners. There's a lot of Americanization of this, and that's kind of a little bit scary, because Americans have a history of creating sports that are pretty difficult to watch if you're in other countries. I really don't want to be offensive to any Americans here. I'm sure there's a few American people watching this, and that's absolutely fine. But I think a problem is in America is that they think that the way they do things, everyone must love this. And perhaps the people setting up the European Super League, doing it with a lot of American consultation, clearly, are thinking, well, yeah, the American way is the best way. We've always done it that way. It's always worked great over here. Why wouldn't it work great anywhere else? But American football, basketball, baseball, yes, obviously there is some interest outside of America, but it's really, really insignificant when you compare it to the globalization of football and how football, European football, association rules football, whatever you want to call it, how that is just translates to so many different countries. It is loved by so many different fans around the world, and there's a reason for that. And there you go. Irish Man says, if Super League teams are banned from domestic competitions, then I'm sure other cup competitions would take place between Super League teams. Yeah, maybe, but then do you want to just see the same games over and over and over again, the same 15 teams playing each other 4 or 5 times a year? That's not entertaining. One of the things we like about the World Cup so much is that it takes place once every 4 years, and that's it's special. It's really special. How often do you get to see France play against your national team, or you see Brazil play all together and they're playing against you, or you're watching different games like that. You're watching France against Brazil, or Portugal against Argentina, or whatever, with Messi and Ronaldo playing against each other. You watch all of these games, and you only really get the opportunity once every 4 years, and that's what makes it so special. That's why we get so excited. If the World Cup was played every year, you're telling me you would be as excited to watch France versus Brazil or something like that? Of course you wouldn't be excited to watch that. So why are we? Why is there this notion that people are just going to want to watch Barcelona versus Man City 4 times a year? It takes all of the magic away from it. TS with the super chat here. Really appreciate that, dude. Football was created by the poor, robbed by the rich. Completely agreed. Over the years, the rich have stolen football from us. Bayern Munich have said no. Spurs, lol. Yeah, so obviously massive respect to the German teams, Bayern Munich and Borussia Dortmund. But if this goes ahead, I really do believe that what Bayern Munich and Borussia Dortmund are going to say, oh yeah, we're just going to stick to our guns. No, they're not. They're not going to get left behind. If this is actually the way that football is forced to move forward, and believe me, guys, when I say it would be by force, because I don't think it's what the people want. If the super rich who have monopolised football do force this upon us, do you really think Bayern Munich and Borussia Dortmund are going to say, no, okay, we'll just get left behind? No, no, they're not. They're going to join in as well, and it's going to be, yeah. Ryan Welsh has got an interesting message here. American here. So many of us want promotion and relegation here. There's a huge fight about it in MLS, USL. Sorry, guys. And it's been going on for years. Viewership numbers aren't great here, and the owners know it. Well, there you go. I'm glad you're on our side, Ryan. I really do. And I completely agree with you. I think I would genuinely be more interested in the MLS if there was some integration between the MLS and the USL. Can't remember what it's called, the United Soccer League or whatever, or United States League. Yeah, it would be nice instead of, or we would like to apply to become part of your league. We'll make a new team. What? No, earn it. Earn it. Of course, this is actually similar to when they tried to change my team to Hull Tigers because it had an Asian market, regardless that those fans don't sit in your stadium versus Rochdale on Tuesday. And I do understand where you're coming from, off-core. The problem is that we can't... I know, it's not nice that us local fans, whatever you want to call us, people who are in the UK following these teams, we've been labelled as legacy fans, and the European Super League has got to look after the future fans. I do kind of agree with that. The way football is moving is much more towards a televised market. It's much more global. It is unfair for us to say, okay, as English people, we have full rights to English football clubs, because they're not just the football clubs of English people anymore. And I do think we do have to move past that as English fans and say, okay, a lot of our supporter base is going to be in other countries. It's going to be in America. It's going to be in, in Africa, in Asia. There's absolutely nothing wrong with that. And it's brilliant that we can garner, the teams that we've grown up loving are now being adopted by a global market in more ways than ever before. They have more access to it on TV and stuff. I think that's fantastic. And I do think the TV fans, if you like, rather than the stadium fans, I do think they really do need to be taken into consideration. I do think there should be, not pandering necessarily, but consideration to be made towards worldwide fans. I really do believe that. But not if it's at the expense of not only everything that we hold true as football fans, but the very foundations of what football is built upon, and how football works, I guess, with the promotion and relegation being the pivotal point. I really do believe that. George Vincent, thank you very much, man. That's really a £10 super chat. I really appreciate it, dude. Feeling generous. I love your channel and love joining the live streams. Always great fun and great opinions. It's such a shame to see football like this. I hope this £10 means something. Yeah, no, that's actually really kind of you, man. I really do appreciate that. I appreciate the love as well. I hope you can stick around and we can keep entertaining you here for as long as possible. Even if the European Super League takes over, we'll do something with this channel, won't we? So Ian Spry's put a really interesting question in here. If there is a fantasy Super League, will you participate and create content towards it? Well, that as a content creator, and I will talk honestly with you guys, because I do want to give you that respect. I am on the verge of doing football full time. If the Premier League, making football content full time, making YouTube videos full time, it's going to be a lifelong dream of mine. If the only way to talk about football is to talk about the European Super League, that's the only way I'm going to be able to do my dream. Then to me, that's a lot better than doing a job that I really don't like and not enjoying life. I mean, at the end of the day, I like football, and as long as football can be good, then I guess I will make content on it. It's a really difficult one. I would far prefer things to stay the way they are, but I do think that there does need to be a reform of European football. And if there is a reform of European football that works for everyone, even if it is a little bit progressive, I think I would be on board with it. It's just the fact that if the European Super League can change just a little bit and stop the ring fencing, stop the the idea that these teams are here to stay forever. That is the one thing. If that can change, then I'm not going to necessarily support it, but I'll be more understanding towards it. Of course, as I agree, Dan, I understand it is about money. I'm saying the atmosphere, the sound of support is part of the experience. This season shows stadiums must be full. Yeah, in a way I agree with you, but in a way I also, this season showed that they could just put fake crowd noises in and everyone will watch it anyway, But yeah, no, you are right. It's so nice to see fans in the stadium. And even with the Super League, I don't think that stops fans from being in the stadium. Shkambuzo says, Arsenal fan all the way from South Africa. The ESL is an insult to Cruyff and Sir Busby. Let us all unite against this appalling attempt at a Champions League. I think we are mostly united here, aren't we? I mean, look, here's the poll that was on the BBC website. Well, actually, that's gone a weird shape. Hang on, I'll show you it. Here's the poll, and you can see that 11% support it and 89% don't. That is an overwhelming majority. I mean, the UK left the European Union because 1% more agreed than disagreed. This is overwhelming, Dylan Williams says, will we carry on supporting Arsenal? It's tough to say. It's really tough to say. If Arsenal aren't in the Premier League anymore, then the Premier League is still going to be my favourite league. It really is, because I love everything about the promotion, the relegation, the drama of it. That's what I like about the Premier League, the challenge, the competition. So yeah, I guess I'll just pick a second team to follow. To be fair, with fantasy, and the great thing about us fantasy fans is that we don't have to necessarily support a specific team, and we can support individual players in terms of fantasy. So even if there's a Premier League without Arsenal in it, it's not going to. I'm still going to watch the Premier League. I'm still going to pick my fantasy players and support those fantasy players. Of course, there's petition Dan, all fans united. I don't know that it helps. I think it's pretty obvious that this isn't the fans. The fans have no say in this. The fans were not consulted. The fans clearly disagree. In general, the fans don't want this. If the fans had any power whatsoever, something would have happened. Yeah. Omar says, that's the problem. If we as fans don't want this, we have to stand up and say something, boycott the bastards after we are making them rich. In an ideal world, yes, but would we really boycott it en masse? Obviously, some of us would. I would not. Genuinely speaking, I genuinely would not have that much interest in a European Football League. I'm really not that interested in it. I would rather watch the Premier League with the big six teams in it or without it. But for the majority of people, I would say that they will still watch it. Younger people probably like the idea of just watching the best teams every single week, every single game. Fair enough. You watch what you want. I think people will still watch it. I don't think we can boycott it, if I'm honest. Maybe it's a bit negative. I don't know. But yeah, the fans have all the power. I mean, I hope you're right. I wish you were right. But look at this poll. If the fans had this power, if the fans were consulted, this wouldn't happen. We wouldn't be talking about this, would we? Nelson says, because of the 50+1 rule in Germany, that's why they're not in it. Yes, of course, German clubs are at least over 50% of the shares belong to the fans in the German clubs. But the fans, I think, maybe when this is settled a little bit and if they see that it's happening, get used to it, I think they will fold and I think they will join. Oshin 2 says, yeah, it would be boring to watch the same teams every week, and I completely agree. Corey says, I feel like the Big Six is not in the Prem. The views will go down a lot, and maybe FPL as well. Yeah, it would be devastating to the Premier League. It would be devastating to FPL. And financially as well, which is why you kind of have to say, you know, this is not really a battle between money and morals. This is a battle between money and money at the end of the day. The Premier League and the Champions League and whoever will spin it in the way that, you know, this is about football and the integrity of football. But at the end of the day, everyone is just looking out for their own bottom lines and their own financial gains. Harry Price says the fact that millions of people are against this and they don't care is disgusting. I completely agree. Jackie says, are you English and what club do you follow? I am English and I follow Arsenal. FPL guy says, ESL is not bad, you guys are getting this wrong. I mean, not everyone is gonna have the same view on this. I think that most people do think it's going to be a bad thing. And it does come down to teams being locked in the league. I keep talking about this because this is what I care about. Promotion and relegation, battling for Champions League spots, battling for Europa League spots. You know, Europa League spots mean a huge amount to certain teams. You know, it can really help them financially. The tragic impact this would have on so many other clubs financially is going to be unprecedented, right? Marco says, novelty will wear off after a year or two, will erase all our emotions and passions for the beautiful game. Well, I mean, it can go both ways. We can either all, you know, obviously we're feeling really passionate about this issue right now. We can either, it either goes the way of, you know, the whole thing fails and we hopefully go back to normal. These teams come crawling back to us in the Premier League or whatever. Or we get used to it and we say, okay, this is how things are done now. European Super League is here to stay. We're just going to have to get used to it, and we will get used to it, and eventually we will adopt it. Even us saying, I won't watch it, you will eventually. If it sticks, you will eventually, and that's not for any other reason than we love football. We love football, and we want to watch football, and I don't know. Yeah, I don't know what's going to happen. Anyway, I suppose I've talked a lot about the European Super League in general. I guess now, how is this going to impact FPL? So, primarily, I probably should have led with this, to be honest. Primarily, it's going to mean that six Premier League teams aren't going to be in the Premier League. I mean, that's the most real obvious outcome, just because the Premier League, it states clearly in their rules that you can't do this. You can't break away and you know, do this non-UEFA, non-FIFA, your own league. You can't do that. It's against the rules. So if that goes ahead and the Premier League don't bottle it and just let them stay, which honestly that could happen as well. The Premier League might bottle it, which causes as many problems anyway. This could all be a massive bargaining tactic. I don't know. It's going to mean that the Premier League is going to be filled with players of a slightly lesser quality that perhaps are just, you know, trying to get into a Super League team. Could happen. And then we're going to be left with, you know, like people were saying, you know, Patrick Bamford, a 10 million player in FPL. More pay. What's he going to be? 8 million? Stuart Dallas has got to be a 10 million player, right? Jack Grealish, he's going to be a premium. 12 million. Jamie Vardy, 12 million. These will be premium players all of a sudden, won't they? I mean, let's look now. Let's look at the... Not... you know what? Let's look at the highest points scoring players of this year. And where do we look? I mean, Bamford's there. Martinez is there. So what? They're going to be suddenly premium players, right? Vardy premium, Dallas premium. To be fair, there's quite a few here. Calvert-Lewin a premium. Creswell a premium. Wow, how about that? Ollie Watkins a premium. I don't know what some people say about that. So there'll still be good players in the Premier League, don't get me wrong. The problem is do they all defect and try and join Super League teams? I don't know. I don't know. Lingard at West Ham will be the most expensive. Yeah, he will win Ballon d'Or. Imagine if ESL has their own fantasy league. That doesn't interest me that much. I mean, people are, yeah, okay, we're talking about ESL fantasy. Would that be that good? I feel like part of the joy of FPL is picking out those gems, the players you don't expect to be good, and the cheaper players, finding the bargains, balancing your team between premium players and not so premium players. If every player in an entire league is elite, then that kind of takes the fun out of it. Like, where do you draw the line? If you've got Messi, Harry Kane, Kevin De Bruyne, Ronaldo, every top player in the world, in world football, all in one league, who's the premiums? They're all premiums. Or do you just pick one? Okay, you can have one out of Messi, De Bruyne, Ronaldo, Kane, Son, Bruno Fernandes, Salah, like Mane. You can have one or two premiums out of this list of the 30, 40 best teams in the world. What? How's that going to work? Is that going to be like Aubameyang and Lacazette? Are they going to be like 4.5 million players because they're playing for a weaker team in the ESL? How's that going to work? Fantasy will die, and fantasy Premier League is growing exponentially. Fantasy is really has a major future market. It's growing and growing and growing. It's getting huge. What happens to that? I don't know. Obviously, in America, fantasy sports is really popular, so maybe it still does work. I don't know. Never played any American fantasy games. But maybe it does still work. Maybe it goes even bigger. I don't know. I think wherever fantasy football is, I'll probably follow. So I'm not going to tell you I'm not going to play this. If they do a fantasy game, I'm not saying I'm going to play it. I would be interested in playing it but I don't know how it would work. Marfar says Champions League fantasy is boring as hell. Too many good players, and I completely agree with that. And that's why I've never invested in Champions League fantasy. I do think it's boring. I don't think the format works very well for fantasy. Players like Grealish, they might have to choose money or play for their country. What player wants that decision? Imagine having to choose between money and to play at the top level or play for your international team. This is another thing where doing it the American way is fine in America because there is no... maybe there is, but it's certainly not very popular. There is no... international American football. There is no international baseball. I know there is a bit. I know, Japan is fairly big there. But it's not like a major international competition. There's no major international basketball because, it wouldn't be fair. So in America, they don't care about the international game, the World Cups and the Euros and the wherever you are in the world, the African Cup of Nations. There is none of that. So that's another thing. Maybe you haven't thought about this American format. How does that work with the international game? I hope it. There you go. Phil says the number of FPL players has trebled in 10 years. I think it's more than that. 10 years ago there was sort of only 1 million players playing, I think, and now there's 8 million. So Fantasy Premier League is getting huge, and it's making Premier League football far more interesting for me, certainly. Harry here says, serious note, Dan, football is the only good thing for a lot of people. I completely agree with you right now. It's been a tough year for so many people, and the Premier League and fantasy football and making this YouTube channel and doing this in front of you guys and chatting to you guys and meeting so many people. This has all been around the Premier League and football and having access to football and interest in competitive football. It's so much to so many people. I'm worried these drastic changes will affect people's mental health, if you know what I mean. Yeah, I know exactly what you mean. And this is a real stab in the heart at a time where we probably didn't need this, would we? Dreco says a Super League would be more competitive and a high level, so in my opinion would be more fun to watch. They just need to add a promotion and relegation system, and that is the point. With a promotion and relegation system, it fixes it. I'm not opposed to breakaway leagues. The Premier League is a breakaway league. I'm not opposed to that. I think, we can say clubs don't have a right to stay in a particular league. Arsenal don't have a God-given right to be in the Premier League. Manchester United don't have a God-given right to be in the Premier League. Real Madrid don't have a God-given right to be in La Liga. But also, at the same time, I do think it's important to note that leagues don't have a God-given right to exist. And if someone can create a genuine, better product, then, that's the competition that fuels things to improve. We can't stay still forever. If something better comes along, we need to adapt to it. But this is not better, and that's the point. And it takes the competition out. Danica says, like we're mourning, try not to cry yourselves to sleep, mates. And I completely agree. I think it's been so hard to concentrate on FPL or anything else. It's been so hard to concentrate on work today because all I've been doing is staring at Twitter, listening to podcasts and the radio. This has taken over so many of our lives because we really do feel this strongly about it. And I hope for that reason alone, when the realization comes there from club owners that this is something that us fans do feel so strongly about, maybe there can be a negotiation with the Champions League or whatever to do the Champions League the right way. And I don't think the suggested reforms by UEFA for the Champions League, I think they're just motivated by greed as well, just trying to squeeze more games in there that no one really wants to watch, just for the sake of getting more games in, more revenue in for more higher, bigger TV deals and stuff like that. I don't know. Bruno Baker says it's not actually called the European Super League, it's just called the Super League. Therefore, teams like Inter Miami could join the Super League. Yeah, actually, you are right there. That kind of came across today. So yeah, anyone could join it. There could be some major American teams in there or whatever. Ryan says, almost every American soccer fan I know is condemning this move to ESL. We are worried about the impacts on the game as well. American fans are being thrown under the bus because of this. Well, yeah, honestly, it's reassuring to know that American fans of football or soccer are kind of on the same team as us, because we're so worried over here that things are being Americanized. In a way that you guys run sports over there. And, maybe the reason you follow soccer or football is because you don't like the way that the sports are run over there. So maybe they're trying to get more fans in America. I mean, that could be a thing. Maybe we're the old fans and we're going to get replaced by an American breed of sports fans who don't like the promotion and relegation, who perhaps want to see one of their teams overplaying in Europe against the best. And I don't know. George Vincent again coming in clutch today, my man. Thank you so much. To me, football is the one thing that kept me going through lockdown despite bad mental health. Watching football takes the pain away. Loved your mental health stream. Good, man. Yeah, it's something that a lot of people have struggled with before, and particularly in the last year, it's been really tough. And our access to football, it's been fantastic. Some of the stories that we're seeing in football, people like, Marcus Rashford coming out and standing up for political things, and, the Leeds story and the West Ham story and Leicester smashing it. We like it. We like everything that's going on in football. It's been keeping it, and even though it is still majorly a greed thing and it's been heading the way of money for years and years and years and years. Greedy owners taking over clubs, throwing money anywhere, trying to get more of it. It's been going that way for years, and I can't say I'm too surprised that this has happened, but it's the promotion and relegation thing. Of course, they want clubs to be detached from the city. That way they can have games anywhere they want in the world, like pre-season tournaments. Completely agree. And, in terms of international fan base, an international fan doesn't care if Arsenal is in London, it's in, Singapore or Pakistan or South Africa or Brazil. It's fine. And I'm not against that, because I'm fine with football going that way. I'm fine with football heading in that direction. And I would like more people to have better access to football. I don't think the Premier League, we're so lucky to have the best league in the world in England. I am more than happy to share that with the world. I don't think that we have a right to it and it's ours and no one else can have it. I don't think that at all. I would love to share my love of football and the great football that we do have in this country. I'd love to share that with the world. I'd love the world to have access to it. It would not be ideal if Arsenal moved to France or Spain or Gibraltar or Korea. It would not be ideal, but that would not be enough alone to put me off football and to put me off Arsenal. That wouldn't be enough, because I do get that's the way things are going and I'm okay with that. I do think we do need to move with the times a little bit in that regard, especially over here in the UK. I do believe that. It's probably not going to be a popular thing to say either, but it's just having teams locked in a league, can't go up, can't go down, nothing to play for. Yeah, crazy. Harry Price says, football's helped me loads, as well as giving me and my dad a shared hobby and interest. Yeah, that as well. Like, you have connections with your family and your friends, and especially when the international tournaments come around, and it brings everyone in your whole respective country together, doesn't it? It's so lovely. What if international football is sullied by this, Shave your trim if the ESL collapses. All right, fine. I think that'll be a good way to celebrate it. I'll do it myself on stream. No, I'm not going to commit to that, actually. Look, I would love it to stay as it is. I really would. I hope it does. And honestly, the more I see how people feel about this, I wonder if this is maybe a negotiation tactic by these big teams. Maybe it's an opportunistic thing from teams like Arsenal and Spurs, who can only gain because, we're not amongst the top teams in the world right now. We're commercially viable, but we're not amongst the top teams right now. We're being opportunistic and just trying to, there's an opportunity here for us to be amongst the elite again. I think you have to earn it. And I think football is boring unless you've earned it. And maybe you can say we've earned it for our history. I don't care. I don't want to say I don't care about history, but I'm not watching, Arsenal's invincible season on repeat. I care about how we're doing now at the end of the day. So I hope it collapses. I hope it goes terribly wrong. I hope we can keep the Premier League. I hope we can keep international football. European football, I do think, needs a reform. Not the way that's currently suggested. I hope that we can keep Fantasy Premier League. And I hope we can also continue to share it with the world. Because this has become an international thing, and I love that. I love that from all around the world we can all be united in our love for football. I think that's brilliant. And I don't want to ever take anything away from that. I'm not going to be one of these fans who says, no, England teams are for English people. I couldn't disagree with that notion any less if I tried. I hope we can keep the Premier League, and I hope streams like this and other people talking about this, it has kind of given you guys hope that we are kind of all on the same page here. Looking on Twitter and stuff, reading comments from pundits and stuff, we are all on the same page here, and I really hope we can do something about it. And these owners realise what the fans want, which is more of the same in most regards. I hope we can keep it, guys, but I'm not going to keep talking about it forever. I've been streaming for an hour. Hopefully hopefully, I don't know. Maybe this has been entertaining to you. Maybe this has been comforting to you. Maybe this has been just filled you with more anger and despair. I don't know. But we are all in this together, guys. We will get through this. We'll keep playing FPL right till the end of the season. And then after that, who knows? I don't want to leave this stream on a bad note. Guys, I love you all. Thank you so much for continuing to support the channel. I hope we all get the result we want. I'm sure by the time I next do a live stream, we'll know a lot more. Maybe things will change. Let's keep talking about it. Let's keep being vocal about it, guys. And, yeah, we'll get through it, won't we? We'll get through it. All right, guys. Thank you so much for watching the stream today. I'm going to leave it there. Like the stream before you go. Subscribe if you're new around here, perhaps. Would really appreciate that. And looking forward to seeing your comments for those of you who are not watching live as well. Hopefully, I'll reply to as many of them as possible. Take care, guys. And I'll see you later, mates. Bye-bye.